Hi, I'm Gary Streigler, and I'm getting ready to share something with you that I've really only done maybe 5 or 6 times in my career, but I found it really interesting, so I wanted to share it with you. And hopefully, even if you don't need to make curved raised panels like these, there's still going to be some tips in here that could be handy for you. I'm right now working on a project, and by the time you see this, it may be done, but to reproduce a version, our interpretation of Independence Hall for an organization called the Patriots Academy, and we're doing that at the Mark Adams School of Woodworking. I'm so proud to have been asked to do that. I love history, so I'm so excited about this. But part of that project is there are 3 doors going to Independence Hall, and each one of them has a 80-inch diameter, 40-inch radius panel jamb with curved raised panels in it. So I had to make 3 of those. It's my design called for 4 each, so a total of 12. Anyway, now I made some curved raised panels before. And the key to that starting off is to be able to bend a wide surface. Now, super quick, I've shared this in the past. You know, one of the ways that I often bend stuff, you can go back and look at my YouTube videos, is to take some metal L brackets and screw them down to a circle I've drawn, and then just to sandwich thin layers of wood, you know, like this in between 2 pieces of metal, you know, the L brackets here, and you just clamp it together. So if you haven't seen that, you might want to check it out, because that's a very practical way to make something curved. One of the things I like best about it is when I'm through the form, I can just unscrew it, stack my metal L brackets, which are made out of angle iron, to one side. But what I needed to do for this, and this is more of a furniture maker's take, is to make a wide form like this. Now, I don't want to forget to say, you may notice I put some candle wax here. That's to keep from anything from sticking to my form. It's just got a bunch of little blocks of wood that are just nailed in between without much space in between them. I took a piece of MDF and I used a router trammel, cut the radius that I wanted. Then I took that piece and laid it on a second piece, just drew a line and cut close to that with a jigsaw. And this is something, if you watch my YouTube videos, you've seen a lot of times. Then I tacked the 2 pieces together with some headless pins and used a flush trim router bit. So I had 2 pieces that were as close to exactly the same as you can make them. And then I just put pencil marks about every 3 inches and put an indexing mark, so that then I could spread those 2 pieces apart, and I just used 2-inch finish nails to nail this together. I kind of made these awkward looking legs so that the pieces elevated up. Anyway, this is a good way to glue a wide surface. Now, I also made kind of some poor boy clamps. If you look at this, this clamp would fit over, and you put your material in, then you simply take a wrench and you start tightening these down. This is just 1/2 inch all thread rod. Of course, you need to make sure that this is wider than what you need to be clamping on. There's a washer and a nut on the bottom and a washer and a nut on the top that really tightened up. Then you put it on like so, and drop this piece on. And I probably wasn't even as accurate as I should have been on drilling these holes, so they're a little bit, well, guess what? That's not the one that goes with it, because it's only got 1 hole in it. Here's one with 2 holes. No wonder that wasn't working very well. At any rate, and again, this is an old, more of a furniture making trick, but you just tighten these down, and you kind of want to tighten on one side and then tighten on the other. Lost my washer already. And so I used some of these. You're actually, in just a second, we're going to share a picture of some of these I already have glued up, but I've also used some K-body clamps, and sometimes when I get towards the end, I'll use a block of wood like this and get a clamp on each end. Now, what I did learn the first time is it's really key when you're gluing these up. Now, if this was just a flat lamination, it wouldn't matter. But when you're gluing these raised panels up, you want to have something about like that, where this piece is about 50-50 over the shoulder. Because I had so many of these raised panels to make, I thought I'd try something new. I'm going to back up for just a second. This is a way that I've made curved raised panels before. I just made a piece of a wood piece that was the radius I needed. And then I actually used there are vertical router bits, which are panel cutters. And so I just fed it through like that to put this raised panel profile on it. Then what I did, I had a blank piece that was glued up on the same radius right here, pocket screwed the two of them together, and then took a piece of veneer and veneered over the whole thing and trimmed the veneer right there. So that takes a whole lot longer, so I wanted to try and find a faster way of doing it. By the way, this only works if it's paint grade. So what I decided to try, didn't even know it was going to work, is I took a piece of 1/2-inch MDF and I made the panel cut, the tongue and the bevel. I don't know if it makes any difference, but what I did was I took a water bottle and kind of spritzed the back side of it a little bit to make it a little bit damp. Then I covered this with glue. Again, this is 1/2-inch MDF, so it's a little more likely to bend. Again, we're on a 40-inch radius. You can go maybe a little bit tighter, but not much. Then this is a scrap of maple fiber core, so it's not veneers, but fiber core plywood. And it is exactly the dimensions of where this bevel is, where this bevel is, this bevel, and this bevel. I put a good bit of glue on it, set it down, used some short headless pins because I didn't want it creeping, and put about 8 short headless pins in it. Then I hurried in, slid it through like that. And one of the keys is, this piece will fit right on these two radiuses. So when I was lining it up, I make sure that I've got it to where that's going to hit. I just start in the middle and start clamping down. Again, a clamp probably every 1.5 inches or so, going nice and slow. Then I let it set up overnight. You might even want to do a little bit more than that. One of the other things I did is I reached in with a tiny screwdriver because, and I've still got some sanding, but there's a little bit of glue squeeze out there, so I reached in between my clamps and drug as much of that glue out as I possibly could. I've still got some sanding, but at any rate, that is a very economical way to make a curved raised panel. If you're not interested in making curved raised panels, hopefully even the fact of how to make this jig, if you need to make a curved apron for a table you want to make or anything like that, big door jamb, and you didn't want to do my method with the L brackets, anyway, several cool things, and I really like these homemade clamps too.